the more incredible things that we attract into our lives. Because we are energetic beings and we vibrate, that vibration of what we are putting out there is what we're pulling back. So the closer we become in our awareness to the infinite source of all good, then our vibration vibrates in this higher level. And we experience better and better and better situations and experiences in our life. We need to get this. We need to get this. We need to get it into our awareness. We need to get it into our minds. We need to get it into our hearts. We need to feel it. Not just to speak it, but to actually feel it. And so we will repeat it over and over again. Because when we get it, when we finally get it, well, first of all, our names can appear next to a mystic. Why not? We all have contact with the divine. We have to access it. First, we have to become aware of it. And then we have to access it. And that moves us into a new level of clarity and insight. And so the second truth, individuality, that the mystics have taught after the big one, which is we are one with God, that is, Ernest Holmes said, our life is ours to do with as we choose. We have choice. So anyone that says, I didn't have a choice in the matter, I had to do this, I didn't have, that's erroneous thinking. That's erroneous thinking. We always have choice. Just remember that. It empowers us to know that we can choose yet again. If it doesn't work out, choose a different thought. Choose a different way of responding. Always. Number 2 truth. We have choice. We all have choice. We're individuals. In other words, within this oneness, within this unity, as we are individuals, we have our own challenges. We have our own insights. We have our own epiphanies. We have our own, we have our own little worlds going on. I do, inside my head. We have our little worlds going on inside of us, even though we are part of all that is. We are still individualized enough to have that choice. So our awareness is vital there, our awareness. And so we are separate beings with our own choices, our own challenges, our own ways of living lives, but we can always turn, each and every one of us, to the one most high, to the infinite source of all life. We can always involve that source of God's love into our thinking. As we go through our individual experiences, let us not forget that we are all feeding from the same source, dipping into the same well, each and every one of us. We are all going, there's not a million different gods. There's one infinite source of creativity, of intelligence, that we all arrive at in our own way. And no matter how you arrive at it, it's okay. It's okay. There's no right or wrong in God. There's no contrast in God. I love that. There's no contrast in God. Not in the God that we're speaking of. We're speaking of this infinite creative force of good, of love, of peace, of joy. How can there be anything to oppose it in its own nature? It would be too contradictory. It would implode. We couldn't survive. We have a divine right order that we all live in. And so sometimes our spiritual expansions and our deepenings happen after we go through a really, what I call, and a lot of people call the dark night of the soul. After we've gone through some kind of challenge, something that really, really gets us into a state of, we talked about fear last week, but really moving through that fear transforms everything. The more we call in, the more we turn to the power of God when we're going through those kinds of situations, the deeper our understanding then becomes, and our faith becomes, and our conviction of our faith becomes in the one power. And let me tell you, it doesn't go away. It's not like, oh, the thing passes and you go back to the way you were. We are always evolving. We are always expanding in this universal goodness of God. We're always expanding. So truth 3 is a path of self-discovery. And the third truth the mystics have taught us, I want to quote Ernest Holmes again here, because he says, the soul is on the pathway of experience, that is, of self-discovery, that it is on its way back to the Father's house. And that means that in our unique, individualized ways, our true purpose in life is to awaken to who we truly are. That is the ultimate purpose. Everybody's looking for the purpose in life. All of these workshops on here's how you find your purpose in life. The purpose in life is to awaken to this great power, knowing that this is the truth of our being and always will be, eternally, forever. When we're not even in forms anymore, we will always be connected in this one life. That is, to awaken to it. To awaken to it consciously and to feel it within. The soul is on the pathway of experience, and that is self-discovery, discovering self. And so Rabbi Cooper's God is a Verb, he says, one of the primary texts of the Kabbalah, cries out to humankind saying, you beings on earth who are in a deep slumber, awaken. It pleads with us, stop sleeping, wake up. What are you waiting for? What are we waiting for? It's time to wake up and know that there is a power that will always support us and guide us. And that is what our teachings inform us of. That's why I love these teachings so much. That's why we have these practitioners of religious science, because religious science is an all-inclusive spirituality, religion, philosophy, science. It is all of those things into one. And so Rabbi Cooper then writes, he says, in my readings and wanderings throughout the years, I have gathered wisdom teachings from around the world. In truth, if I were able to collate and distill all that I collected, it could be summed up entirely in the three admonitions of this Kabbalistic teaching: awaken, enlighten, and transform darkness into light. Awaken, enlighten, and transform. And he goes on, spiritual teachers ultimately agree that true wisdom does not come from outside of us, but from within. And it does not come from within simply because we want it to. It comes when we live in a way that invites wisdom. We have to live it. It comes through direct experience. And so I think we have come full circle, because we started out with the meaning of mysticism earlier this morning. So this experience of union with the oneness, with direct communication with a higher power. The mystics of the ages have all taught that we are each on this earth to do the exact same thing. We are here to become mystics. We're here to become mystics, to have mystical experiences. Why not? We can do that through the practices. And how can we move to a mystical place in our lives? As Rabbi Cooper says, live in a way that invites wisdom in. Live it. Live it. This means that we need to do more than come to Sunday service and listen to these concepts and ideas. They are very, very, very helpful. Yes, they're very helpful. Thank you for coming. But we still have to move forward on our journey. On our journey. They're important to come to a church or a spiritual center, but to move forward in your journey. It means that we need to do more than read the writings of these great mystics and great authors. Very helpful, but still, we need to move forward on our journey. It means more than taking classes. And although this is very, very helpful, and we have continuous classes going, and it does aid you in your journey, but we still ultimately have to live the journey in our lives. But if all we do is listen, read, and study, and never change the way we live our lives, we will not awaken. It's impossible. Eknath Easwaran said in his book entitled Meditation, no matter how many mystics we read, we cannot move forward on the spiritual path without practicing their teachings in daily life. One contemporary thinker put it very well when he remarked that if we had to choose between uniting ourselves with God and hearing a lecture about it, most of us would go hunt for a good seat. You gotta do the work. We have to do the work. We can be inspired, but ultimately we must do the action part is imperative. Then he shares a story of a time when he visited a home of a very well-known author on these spiritual themed books. And this author took him into a gorgeous library that was filled with all of these books on meditation. Very, very impressive collection of books. And he said, Rabbi Cooper said to him, oh no, Eknath Eswaran said to them, with all of these books on the subject, you must be very adept in meditation. And the man, he looked a little embarrassed and said, frankly, I'm so busy reading and studying that I don't have any time for meditation. So we can read. We can have great libraries. We must do the work. We must practice it in our daily lives. People become our teachers. Remember that. The people that cause us sometimes the most challenges in life, that's where we practice it. That's where we use it. We use it then every day. And we evolve. We awaken. We expand. So ultimately, we must do the practices. Communication with the divine through our meditation, through our prayer, through all of the readings and the studies. I read Ernest Holmes and I put it down and I have to sit. I have to sit and think about what this man just said over and over again because it's insightful. So I contemplate. I contemplate it. So today, right now, we can all be on a mystical path. Each and every are. We're all on a mystical path when we awaken. When we come to this place of enlightenment, of knowing that there is a powerful good that is operating in and through and as each and every one of us. And when we begin to transform the darkness into life by living our lives in ways that invite the divine wisdom in. The greatest advice we could receive on this is from the Psalms. Be still and know that I am God. Be still and know that I am God. The mystical poet of India, the 14th century Kabir said, where do you go in search of God? Nowhere. He is with you. He's with you. He's with you. Meister Eckhart, no one can know God who has not known himself first. Go to the depths of the soul, the secret place, to the roots, to the heights, for all that God can do is focused here. And Dalai Lama said, true enlightenment is nothing but the nature of one's own self being fully realized. Realize how great, how wonderful, how powerful we are, each and every one of us. Go into the inner chamber. We can all be mystics. We can all have mystical experiences. We can all tap into the wisdom of the ages when we live in a way that invites this power in, this powerful good into our lives. And so at this point right now, to close this little talk up, I would like to invite Reverend Jessica